We did it, bro. This thing that was an idea. We are now at the final episode of season 1 of the Bird Joy podcast.
We did it.
We did it.
We did it.
It's kind of crazy. Like literally, like I'm kind of speechless, and you know me. That doesn't happen often, you know. I can't believe it, bro. Like we started recording. It was fake spring.
Yep, fake spring.
April, you know, and here we are. It's July 7th. Here we are recording the final episode of season 1. Is this real?
It's crazy. It's crazy. I remember us talking before we started, and like, I was a lot more skeptical. I was like, "Are you sure, Dex? Don't nobody want to hear my dumb self talking about birding?" And you were like, "Nah, man, trust me. You know, people need some bird joy. They need an on-ramp, man. Man, you were right. The fact that there's like hundreds of people now waiting for us to deliver some weekly bird joy, it's a little bit of pressure, but it validates the idea that birding is for everybody. And a lot of the people in the comments we've gotten have been from new birders, existing birders that never felt represented. We got people commenting from other countries. Like, this is crazy. The fact that it was just you and I this season, we didn't even have on any guests, and there's so many amazing people that I think we want to introduce folks to in the future.
Oh, amen.
And really get outside the box a little bit, because there's kind of, if you're into birding podcasts and you listen to a lot of them, there's kind of the same set of people that kind of circulate around as guests on bird podcasts. There's way more people than that out there, right? So I hope you and I can really dive into that like nobody else can and bring some of those voices, because there's other colors and flavors of bird joy out there that you and I can't bring. So we got to bring in the homies. We got to bring in the homies to show us those colors, show us that perspective. And that part makes me want to start recording season 2 like tomorrow.
The homies are the cavalry, you know what I mean? Like
I know.
We kind of got this attitude like we're all in this thing together. When you and I, it's like, bro, I think I finally got the thing we could do where we collaborate. Mm-hmm. And I was like, it's podcast. And you were like, okay. The cool thing was like, you was in, but you was like, what's that going to look like?
Yeah.
And I was like, bro, I've been thinking about this. And if anybody knows me, if I have an idea, that idea will get thought about for a long time. Yeah. And if I follow up with you, that idea will be a full-fledged, let's go. So not only do we have like a full season that I was like, hey, I would kind of want to talk about all these things, but there was a method behind the madness, and I left it with you for a while, let you chew on it. You provided a lot of feedback. We condensed all this into a season of 12 episodes. And bro, I look back on what we did. We kicked it off with why birding and gave people like the why, like these scientific reasons and the fun parts of it. And we shared all these amazing stories. We represented, we talked about diversity in birding. We talked about birding etiquette. We did one that was kind of like probably unexpected for some people, birding on the budget, and which is wild. Go and look at the numbers. It's the most watched, most listened to episode of the entire season. And it blows my mind. And I'm like, there are so many more people at that level.
And
people
crazy.
Realize, the newbies, the people that are curious.
Crazy.
Bro, we make people curious just by who we are. The people we know, and they're like, Dex, you like birds? And I'm like, I love birds. And then they're like, what? You know what I'm saying? And it leads to them like, now they're paying attention, and I absolutely love it. We're fathers. We talked about birding as a family. We talked about birding and mental health as two Black men, to be able to be vulnerable and talk about that, and to be able to have a space where, you know, I can talk about some of my issues, and like people talk about you and I, and like, oh, we got a vibe and this or that. It's like, I feel like I could talk to you about anything. I think that helps. And I hope you feel the same way. We just kind of like, we just talk about issues as we see it. We don't have all the answers. I hope people understand that. They hope they understand. We talked about Black Birders Week and how that kind of is like this glue for it all, and conservation and how people don't equate the two, but keeping the homies safe and kind of wrapping it up with that. I think we laid a foundation, bro, where now we could use all of these different buckets, and now we start reaching out to the experts in the field that can take us into the why behind all these other things that we've kind of just opened up the door to, but we don't have all the answers. And I think that's what I'm excited about, bro, is season 2 to really go deep and go down some of these rabbit holes and really branch off all these foundational elements that we set for season 1. I think is going to be the catalyst for season 2.
Yeah, not only season 2, but if I can be like LeBron, 3, 4, 5, you know, like we could do as many as we want, because there's plenty of amazing folks out there. There's the beauty about birding, especially as you open it to new communities, is that it creates new stories day after day after day, creates new scientists, new birders, new ornithologists, new folks active in their community to get nature in the hands of folks that need it. It's kind of a never ending thing. And the world needs more bird joy, needs more different kinds of people outside. And I honestly, man, I'm just kind of honored, number one, that, you thought of me for this, but number two, that people think enough of us to come leave a review or a comment. Just reading some comments today from some of the Instagram snippets of the safety episode, and like,
it's mind blowing, right?
Yeah.
It's just like, okay, we talked about this subject. We know it's important. We don't realize that, like, there's those common threads. Like I always say, we say birding is for everyone, but like when we talk about birding safety and we talk about it from this lens of, obviously we're 2 cis black males that kind of live in this world, right? We have our perspectives. We lead birding clubs and we have a unique look at the world in the sense of we try to proactively think about other people and other groups, and that includes women and differently able birders and different things. One thing we won't do is we won't speak for them, and we won't say we have all the answers. We are thinking of you.
Yes.
And I think that's the starting point. And hopefully now we can start reaching out to other people that can intimately talk about those things. And I'm really excited to be able to do that. That's uncovering those stories. And I want to hear about how they find the joy in those circumstances as experts in their fields and whatever they may do. Dude, those conversations, they haven't happened yet. But right now, just like you, I cannot wait to start getting those conversations started and recording those episodes for season 2.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And one thing that we probably would want to do is make sure that folks always have this, the word I want to use, pathway to give us feedback. And I think we've done a pretty good job of that. And I certainly encourage folks, if there's something that we're missing, let us know in the Instagram DMs or otherwise. But that part's been great, that people feel enough to say, hey, also this piece right here is cool. Or even in some cases, they'll provide resources like in the comments, like, hey, that was a really cool part of that episode. Have you ever seen X, Y, and Z? And they got a link to somebody's profile, or, and other people. And then you see other people that aren't you and I liking that comment, maybe going to check that out. And like that communication pathway, I think, is part of this community that we're building, or at least trying to enhance. And I want to encourage folks to keep doing that, right? Like I never want anyone to feel like you and I are on here for self-promotion. That was never our intention. But I think you and I get a lot of energy, joy from other birders, honestly.
Yes,
like we do, right? Like we love birds, obviously, right? You and I in particular, I think, really love hanging out with other birders and talking with other birders and laughing with other birders and finding common ground with other birders, especially those in Black and brown communities that you and I are focused on enhancing. That part of it is the same thread that builds this community for everybody, right? It's like if we can take that thing that you and I love and say, hey, like, you don't have to be afraid of other birders, right? I know there's population of birders out there that probably will never get it in terms of being inclusive and open in birding, but this community will always get it. And so it's great to see the overlap, the connecting threads between someone that maybe be struggling with or challenged with accessibility versus someone who maybe doesn't feel safe, and they both can find each other in the comments and find some common ground. So thanks to everybody for giving some of that feedback. It's really been validating and helpful, and it's just going to kind of be rocket fuel for the rest of what we do here.
It really is. And that feedback, them sharing those moments, it's funny because like every episode I'm reflecting back and thinking back, and like every episode there's like this moment where we nerd out about something so normal. I'm like, it tickles me that there's other people as nerdy as us out there in the world that are having those same moments in their lives, no matter where they are. I think that's what's so amazing about birding. That's the truest sense of bird joy, is that we're all nerding out about this stuff in our own ways all over the globe. And it's freaking cool, man. Like it's really cool. And I take a lot of joy at being able to hear those stories and see those stories kind of unfold in the comments or whatever it's been. But it's helped me grow, and I've learned a lot along this way, as a birder, as a person, as a podcast host, as you know, it's just been kind of cool, man.
Yeah. And you know, one cool thing I see in some of the reviews, just looking through them today, is like this space we enter that's not straight technical right off the bat. And I think that really helps a lot of folks, because me personally, I listen to some other bird podcasts that are, you know, have a heavier technical viewpoint, and that's fine. But that's what I like, because I like to hear things and be like, what is that bird family that they just talked about? And then I got to go Google it, right? That process of me learning something myself, I don't need to assume anyone else knows that, right? So if you and I, like when we talked about, I think we talked about ruffs, the shorebird, and how they have different, you know, they have all different,
those like subspecies.
Subspecies. Like, they got these dominant males with these non-dominant males, and the plumage is different and their behaviors are different. And it's like, that stuff is really cool. I would love to bring on someone that has a birding for all perspective that can give us more information about that, maybe more technical information. And we can bounce through the joy of that rather than just having recite technical information about this bird. What was it like sitting out there on the middle of that marsh?
Right. And maybe we can be those translators, right? That kind of like grab that. Hopefully we can be the ones that like get that out of them. Because I think so many times they focus on that technical stuff, bro. They gloss over the joy, because I guarantee there are those moments where they see something, they have that aha moment. That's what I want them to talk about.
Absolutely.
And that's what we'll bring out of them on the Bird Joy podcast.
Yeah. And what people will see is that, I think we talked about before, the researcher that is down in the jungle finding a species that we thought was extinct for 30 years, and the just stupid grin on their face when they finally see it is the same thing as that brand new birder who got their first pair of binoculars and they see a Baltimore Oriole for the first time through binoculars, and they got the same stupid grin on their face. That part of it needs to be more of the conversation, because I said this before, even the most experienced birder all over the world, everybody's chasing that stupid smile. Like that's what it is, right? Like, unless you're getting paid to go survey birds, which some people are, if you're a non-professional, as in nobody is paying you to go look at birds, that's what you're chasing. I will argue with anyone. And if there's someone out there that's going to look at birds and they're not trying to chase that joy, why?
What's happening here? What's the purpose here?
Like I said, unless you're getting paid. So like, that piece of it is really where I want people to realize that they are not disconnected from these 30, 40-year expert ornithologists or birders that go out and chase these things.
Yeah.
They're part of the same community. And if we can pull their joy out, along with the joy of the starting community birders, people will realize we're all in this thing together, right? Or at least try to, right? And there'll be things within that we have to break down and understand and recognize. But that's part of the process. Birding is not supposed to be this static thing, nor is this community. So, you know, I'm really excited for people to hear some new voices that they've never heard before on that front.
And honestly, I want our listeners to keep on exploring. If anything, hopefully they appreciate nature more now.
Yeah.
They're paying attention to what's around them. Please take a moment and emphasize that joy. Pay attention to, like you said, how do you feel before and after, and really focusing on that fulfillment that you can get from bird watching. Try to bring in as many people as possible. Continue to value that community. Get involved. I think we talked about that at so many different levels throughout season 1. Go get involved. Find some spaces that work for you, that make you feel comfortable. If they're not around, maybe you can create one, right? If you need some help with that, Reach out, seriously. But ultimately, understanding birding is for everyone. We want it to be as inclusive as possible. And that was one thing, too. You and I talked about this. We want people to understand after this season, if you got through all these episodes, understand that it's for you. Yeah. Birding is for you. It's for every single person that can hear our voice. It's for your neighbor. It's that person across the street. Maybe you haven't talked to them. Maybe that's where y'all connect. I don't know. But it is for every single one. And I hope that if you get one thing, if you've gotten through this season, to understand that birding is for you.
That's right. And so are the upcoming seasons, right? Are gonna have the same message. And I think we'll probably be going into the fall, right? As we start to get some more episodes going. And like, I'm so excited for the fall. Like, number one, like I said, it's hatefully hot out here in Pennsylvania. It's terrible. I don't like it. But number two, it's another kind of start of migration season. So in August, we'll start to get heavy loads of shorebirds showing up on mudflats. And I'm guessing we're going to have a lot of mudflats because we ain't got no rain. Then the songbirds will start to migrate through. And the cool part about that for folks, if you're a newbie birder and you're looking at fall and like, and you're just terrified around trying to ID warblers and their fall plumage, if you live on the East Coast, don't worry about that. There's plenty of time to kind of figure that out. But the cool part about fall migration is the birds don't have to rush. I think I've said before that they're not rushing up to make babies and have a family. They can kind of leisurely make their way back down. So, you have some birds that are starting to disperse now, so those babies are fledging and they don't know which way to go. They just be like, maybe I go north, maybe I go west, maybe I go south, maybe I end up on a fishing boat in the middle of the Atlantic. I don't know. So you get these weird birds showing up in the rest of the summer. So as long as you're staying safe and getting out there, you may find something weird. But once August kind of hits, a lot of those flyways, at least in North America, are going to start to get heavy with a lot of birds heading back down. And that'll continue through early November, in many cases, sometimes late into November, if you're talking about some of the bigger birds of prey. That is really exciting to me because it's a whole different perspective. Like you said, we started in late spring or early spring, whenever it was, fake spring. And like, so there was this anticipation for spring migration, and it came and went. And had Black Birders Week, and now there's other things to talk about, right? Like, we haven't really had an episode on winter birding and weird ducks. That's going to be fun,
But we will.
We will, right? And like I said, we're going to have an episode on gulls. I don't care what anybody says. All right. We're going to make it fun and joyful. And trust me, gulls is one space that it's very easy to slip into a bunch of technical stuff. And that's cool, but you don't got to be bland about it. So so we're definitely gonna get into some gulls and why I think they, Laridae are the best family of birds on the planet.
I love it.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna make some enemies though.
Hey, but think about it. I've said this multiple times. We bird 12 months a year.
We do.
And birding in different seasons and exploring habitats in different seasons, that's part of birding. I think in season 1, we did a really good job of introducing birding at a pretty basic level. And I think in season 2, we will be able to get a little more advanced and talk about some more advanced birding techniques. Every season is different, and IDing birds and bird behaviors and different things in the fall, way different. Right?
I mean,
they're not trying to make babies, like you said. They're not defending territories. They're kind of like, job done. Like, they chilling. Like, they don't even want to be seen. They colors change into more dull and drab because they don't want to be seen. Like,
I tell people all the time, after Labor Day, once it cools down, I'm putting the sweatpants back on. Right?
See?
The birds do the same thing. I ain't got to be looking fresh for nobody heading into Thanksgiving. No. We're gonna put that winter plumage on. We're gonna chill. We're gonna make some chili. We're gonna hang out. We're gonna have some holidays, some family. And the birds are doing the same thing, and it's this real cool progression to watch. Because for example, the warblers, which maybe we can do an episode on fall warblers, because I actually think this is pretty
little
fun.
Brown birds.
Yeah, it all end up looking kind of the same. This
LBBs.
We call them LBJs out here, little brown Johns.
That Philly.
Yeah, that's right.
I like it.
But I don't know how many people stop and kind of recognize this aggression, right, of the birds. Like, how do they change their plumage? We can get into how those feathers get replaced, right? They don't just change color. They actually come in and come out. And some birds switch plumage more than others for different reasons. And that's wild.
Some of the changes are so freaking drastic.
Yeah. It's insane.
Like the scarlet tanager is one that comes to mind for me. Fall, winter, this thing is yellow. like my shirt, my Black Birders Week shirt. You know what I'm saying? And then all of a sudden in the spring it's bright red.
Yeah.
Come talk about drastic changes. Yeah, that kind of stuff is, I love nerding out about that stuff and explaining it to people, because when you're a new birder, it could be super challenging. It could be frustrating. But for me, I want people to don't focus on frustration, focus on the fascination.
That's really what it is.
Of like, right? Whoa, this is crazy. Mm-hmm. And that's where we kind of come in, where we shift the conversation a little bit to the joy. It's fascinating.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane. This is like, I love the fact that I probably will never see every bird species on the planet. It means until the day that I check out of here, like we said, I'm going to have something maybe to look forward to. And not even just seeing the species, but like there's species that I've seen hundreds of times that I learn new facts about all the time, right? Whether I'm reading something or listening to somebody else's podcast or something flips through on Instagram, you know, some fun bird fact or something, like that's wild. That's incredibly wild. And it's beautiful, and it's never ending. We're going to have this little break here for a little bit, but I don't want people to feel like the bird joy is over, right? I certainly go explore a little bit, not necessarily outside if you don't feel like. Maybe head to your local bookstore, grab a couple bird books, see what they look like, or check out the used bookstore, see what's in there. I just signed up for a class on nature journaling, and in particular, how to draw birds. Something I've been trying to learn how to do. I'm gonna be doing that, right? I'm just gonna, you know, I got a little discount on the class. I'll put a link in the bio where it is, Cornell Labs, and I'm just gonna see like how can I, you know, I got myself a fancy ass colored pencil kit. I'm ready to go. Like, I'm gonna stay in the air conditioning and I'm gonna sketch some birds.
You know, it's funny that this little, and it's a short break, but it kind of lends itself to the seasons, right? You kind of have the spring migration come, nesting season. Now, like you said, a lot of these birds are fledging and trying to figure some things out. I call it gray catbird season, because you go out, you just, that's like all you see. Like, it's catbird,
everywhere,
right?
Everywhere.
So it kind of makes sense that behind the scenes during gray catbird season, we are working, you know, recording again and interviewing, you know, all these amazing people that we hope to bring in, and, you know, renowned birders, conservationists, people that can go deeper on some of the, you know, the specific topics that we've already kind of started the conversations on. Also want to continue to invite our listeners to suggest topics and questions, guests that you think we should be covering next season. Honestly, we read all that stuff. We talk about it. It means something. Like what the homies say means something to us. So
it does.
The things that you say, do not be shocked that you see those little changes implemented and those improvements in season 2 based off of your feedback. So just know what you say to us matters.
Yeah. And you know, we can just, there's so much I'm excited about. And I encourage folks, like, I want to have a few newbie birders on to interview them, right? Because like, what's that experience like, right? You know, I posted a reel a while ago. It's a young girl and her friend, I think, in the teacup ride at Disney World, and it was like slow motion. It had Enya playing in the background, and they just had these eyes wide look of joy plus fear on their face, and it was like, you know, when you experience your first spring migration, what's it like? What are you guys going through? What birds did you see? What was exciting? Like, how did it make you feel? What did you not like? What are you looking forward to? Like, I want to hear all that. We do want to hear all that. And in that, those stories are just as valid as the expert, because eventually the newbie birder or the newbie scientist is going to become the expert, or the expert birder. And obviously our hope is that as that plumage change happens, right, in birding, that the feathers on the other side of that are a lot more colorful and diverse than they were initially. And that's really only going to come by folks staying engaged and, you know, making sure that Dexter and I can see, you know, if you have somebody that you think would be a good guest or a good perspective on a topic, you know, I would love it. I also, like, I want to do some fun stuff. I want to do an episode on like top 10 bird songs and start some fights. You know?
There we go.
You know, I'm gonna start some fights.
Meet us in the comments. Let's go.
Yeah, meet me in the comments and tell me why Scarlet Tanager is not in your top 10. You know, like meet me in the comments. You know, so like, because I think that kind of stuff is fun, and also brings out the fact that some of these birds are significant to us because of the experiences we've had with them, rather than what they look like or what their song is like. It's the moment you were in when you experienced the bird. That's another part of it. I mentioned my colored pencils. I know nothing about bird art, but man, is my Instagram algorithm kicking with some amazing artists. And I'm like, yo, how do you do it. You know,
Yeah.
like it's one thing for me to sit here with my, bird guide and like, sketch something from there. But these homies be sitting in the forest sketching the bird while it's there. How? How, Sway? How?
Like on the spot,
On the spot.
Maybe they got like their little Sibley journal that they're using when they go out. So, folks, when we talk about these things, we're not just talking about these things.
Like
these are things we do.
Yeah, and it's wild, man. Like I wanna understand that process and how you get to that space, because I'm always impressed by artists, because I've never felt like I've had much of an artistic inclination, and so the amount of focus, but then just freedom of thought to figure out where to put things and what looks good. And like I was talking to when I was getting all these tattoos. I was talking to my tattoo artist who has like a master's degree in art from Penn State. They were telling me about color theory. And I was like, that's wild. Like these like graduate level courses on color.
I teach color theory in my documentary photography for the sciences class.
It's crazy. It's crazy. So like all of that, right? All of that. And then being out in the field and seeing a lazuli bunting, right? Or lazuli bunting, however you want to call it. And that bluish teal color, right? Moving into that yellowish brown. Like, how do you decide which color pencil or paint to pick up to do that? Like, that's crazy. And the fact that you have to sit down and think about it creates a connection with that bird that most of us probably don't have, because we're not trying to interpret the bird into art. You know what I mean? That kind of stuff. It's like, I'm going to be here with popcorn whenever we have a guest about that. I want to know it all.
When you mention artists, how about a shout out to the artists for the artwork in our season 1 graphics?
Casey Gerard.
Yeah.
The homie down there. Yeah. Below the Mason-Dixon line has been absolutely tremendous. If you all don't know her, we will put her link in the show notes. Did artwork for a lot of the Black Birders during the first 5 Black Birders weeks.
It's how I found a lot of, I found people through her art that I didn't even know. And I was like, who's this? Who's this homie? Oh, I'm not connected with this homie. I started following people based off of some of the artwork that I was just seeing from Casey.
Yeah. And really quick apologies. Casey goes by they, them. They really create this amazing artwork. And one of the cool things they do is they put the art on leaves, which I actually have one in my office of a painted bunting, and I think I have a cedar waxwing on these oak leaves. And I would love to get them on to talk about how they do that, because it's wild to me to be able to interpret these things in nature and then decide you're going to flip it onto a leaf. It's absolutely insane. And I'm looking forward to talking to people like that, because I don't think we hear enough of those voices around how to interpret birds and birding from other artists, right? It's mostly
the homie Ike. The homie Ike is one of the best. Like, his bird drawings are insanely good. Like, insanely good. I remember sitting with him in Georgia when we were down there on Little St. Simon's Island.
Yeah,
and seeing some of his stuff, and like my instant reaction was like, you're like David Sibley, like the next generation, this young Black man that like, bro, Ike is a game changer. I hope we could get Ike on season 2, because like when you talk about art, when you talk about the next generation, young birders, young scientists, and it's just, there's so much to love about Ike, and shout out to the homie Ike, man.
Yeah. And I got to tell everybody a secret. I am a collector of art from other birders. So I have a drawing from Ike of painted buntings. I have Casey's work. I got a homie up here in Philly that's a photographer, Anwar. He's in like Slovenia right now.
He's incredible.
He's like photographing. He put like a picture of bears on his thing yesterday, and I was like, dude,
how does this even happen?
He was like camping out overnight at some spot in the dark, and then is waking up and getting pictures of this mama and baby bear coming to like get water or something. And he's got the back of the camera photo on the Instagram story. And I'm just like, dude, this is insane. So like people like that, I think, need to to come on this podcast and tell us about their bird joy. They need to come to let the people know, because, you know, and there's a ton of other folks. There's children's book authors. There's researchers doing amazing
so many
things,
amazing
right?
things.
I want people to stay tuned, because we're not going to be able to fit everything in season 2. So
that's why, like you said, 3
LeBron.
and 4 and 5, and we trying to win. We trying to win more ships, though. You know what I'm saying? Give me some rings, brother. We're trying to win some rings for the people. We're trying to win some rings for the homies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So whatever we got to do to elevate birding, elevate the people out there doing the work, the homies doing the work. That's what we're gonna start focusing on in season 2 and moving on.
Yeah, it's going to be really tremendous. But like, what are you going to be up to for the rest of the summer? Like, what's life like for you?
You know, I would say I got like I said, I do teach, so I'm wrapping up. I got a few more weeks of teaching this summer, so I'll do that. This is a great time. You know, like you said, the birds are fledging and stuff. This is a great time to go look at juvenile birds and find the birds like with families and stuff. So I'll probably go explore Horicon Marsh and some different areas within the next month. Like you said, the shorebirds are going to be rolling through, and before you know it, mid-August, you're going to start seeing some of these fall migrating birds coming through. You're going to see some birds leaving, like the Orioles leave late August, and you start noticing all these little different changes in behavior. But when some leave, others come, and that's kind of like the beauty of the seasons. I think we're lucky we get all 4 seasons. A lot of people don't get it, so our perspective may be a little different than most.
And I actually want to know. I want to know from the homies that don't get the, I'll say, typical 4 seasons, right? Because I know, like in the Southwest, they have like a rain season. I'm like, I've always wanted to go to like Arizona in September or August, whenever it is, at the monsoons and everything greens up randomly, and they get all these wild birds, right? The homies in California on the West Coast, right? California, Oregon, Washington, they don't get the warblers we get. But man, did they get a bunch of hummingbirds. Man, did they get massive flocks of shorebirds. What's that like? What is that like?
Yeah, all the experiences.
Oh, man,
we got listeners in South America, Australia, Africa, Kenya, and all these different places. We got I'm trying to hear what y'all seeing too. Like this is like such a never-ending cycle of learning. I remember the first time I went to Arizona, and I was like, "Where am I? Like, this is insane, right?" Like, I was like, what sound is that? Yeah. I'm good. Like, in my area, bro, I'm known for my ear. Like, I'm pretty good at what I do. Okay. Bro, I went to Vegas. I was like, where am I? I went to Arizona. I felt like, what is this alien country? Well, I knew nothing.
That's right.
I was humbled in 5 minutes. You know what I'm saying? I was running around, like the kids, from our kids episode. I'm running around with
your Merlin app.
Bro, that's how I felt. I'm talking about. So, hey, humble yourself, because you ain't never gonna have all the answers out there, folks. Because you travel one good time from anywhere away from where your patch or where you're used to. You're gonna be running around like.
I just got this image of you like on the Vegas Strip holding your phone up, just like, what is that?
Hey, what was that? I'm running down the strip, bro. Yeah. I went birding on the Las Vegas Strip. People probably thought I was crazy. Only thing I was missing was wearing my Debos, but I had my do-rag on. It was super early.
Yeah.
I got my camera, my binoculars, and I guarantee people were like, what is this dude doing?
Yeah. But you know what, though?
There's so much habitat.
Yeah. I'm probably not that much, though, because you were in Vegas. There's all kinds of wild stuff in Vegas.
Bro, there was some beautiful birds, though. Like, I was just blown away. Mockingbirds just chilling.
Yeah.
Nice. Vierdens and like all these. I was like, what are you, little dude? Yeah, different kinds of black-throated sparrows. I was like, what are you? Yeah. I've never seen you before. Yeah. You're amazing, right?
Yeah. They got these little parks around there everywhere. They got vermilion flycatchers.
Yeah, like I was like, dude, what is happening? Right? Like, it was pretty cool. So
yeah, Vegas is like I said, I had to go there for a wedding. In between the wedding festivities, I was able to bop around and go see some birds. And like, it's the habitat outside the city and sometimes inside the city. There was a park there I went to get, what was it? Gamble's quail, I think, or something like that.
They just running around.
Like not even, and so like, but that experience of getting humbled back into a beginning birder, right?
Yeah, that's why I'm saying you my people. I get you.
Yeah, like some people might be that might make them nervous, right? But it only makes you nervous because you think you're supposed to be something that is not true. You're not supposed to be an expert in it. Matter of fact, if you're already an expert on something, sometimes you're not going to find joy as easily. So like going to places where you know nothing and then having to start over, at least for the period that you're there, is, to me, it's really fun. It's like, I got nothing, fun, right? Like I'm doing, going to India in January, and then I'm going to Puerto Rico in March. Puerto Rico, maybe I'll be okay, right? But there's some endemics down there that I have no idea. I don't have to study. India, out. Like, I'm just going to be like, right? And I'm not even, like, the thing about Merlin is, like, it really is only good if you have enough data going into it for particular species or regions. I'm going to Northeast India. I don't know if people using Merlin like that up there. So, like, if they're not, Merlin is it's out the door. I got to go back to the basics.
Whipping it out. Whipping it out. Yeah.
I just ordered a Birds of India guide. It just came today. I was checking it out over my coffee this morning, and I was like, bro, it's like 20 species of quail. Quail, right? Like not even, and then there's just other stuff in there that I'm like, on the East Coast, maybe we have 3 species in that family and they have 40. And I'm like, this is going to be wild. You can do that going anywhere new. Right, you can do that in a new season in the same place. This idea of getting back to a space where you have to learn something new is the really exciting part. And if you can do it with joy in your heart, that's what's going to stick. Not doing it with anxiety or fear, but really saying like, oh man, I don't know what that is. Let me go figure it out.
I love that. And honestly, I find joy in hearing those stories, bro. Those beginner birders, those baby birders, when they see their first this, or they see their first baby Canada goose, or they see their first baby mallard family or whatever, right? It literally takes me back. And I remember how I felt when that happened. And I love hearing that. And I really want to encourage everybody. I really want to encourage our listeners to continue to stay connected and to share their stories with us. Go back and leave comments and share those stories for people to really observe them, like to absorb those, because that stuff matters. And I really want you to continue to share those stories with us, because it really does take me back. And I love hearing about those type of moments.
Yeah, me too. I'm so glad we found birding, and I'm so glad we found each other, and I'm hoping we can create, top level is, by the time you and I are done birding as humans, that there are just so many other connections out there between people. Maybe we didn't create, but we helped explain to people that they're possible, so that there's just a saturation of birding podcasts that are joyful. How awesome would that be? We got one homie, Cole, who listens to us every Saturday morning
on his
walks, right? Yeah. And I feel so special. I'm like, where are you walking to? Where are we going today? I feel like we're with Cole, and there's others that have expressed the same thing on their daily or weekly habits, where they have a time that they listen to our podcast, like maybe Friday mornings on the way to work or whatever. And that makes me feel special. And I just want to say thank you again to everybody, because this season would not have been successful without all of our listeners and just the feedback and the commentary and the validation that birding is for everybody. Can't say any more about it, man.
Nah, I echo that, man. Extreme thanks to everybody. The gratitude that we have really can't be expressed with words. I know this is a podcast. Your messages, and that kind of kept us going, and it let us know that the mission that we had going into this was pure. And this is what we were hoping to do, is to bring some homies together to be able to talk about birding in a way that we hadn't seen it talked about. There's some amazing things happening out there, but we wanted to do it our way. And that's by spreading bird joy. And just want to thank everybody for joining us for season 1 of the Bird Joy podcast. Continue to stay connected. Please leave a review, subscribe if you haven't. Season 1, share it with people still, right? We're not going away. We're just going to be getting ready for season 2, but there are a lot of people out there that could use season 1. So please continue to share that. And I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. Seriously.
Yeah. What are we going to do now?
I know. Now we're going to enjoy.
What am I going to do with my Sunday afternoons for a little bit? I have to figure something else out.
look at gray catbirds for a couple of weeks, and we'll be reaching out to a lot of our homies, so don't be surprised. You'll see Jason and I reaching out to y'all as we can start to plan out season 2. We like to record behind the scenes, and before you know it, we'll be back for the fall migration. That's our goal, is to be back with y'all. We were with you for the entire spring migration, going into nesting season, into summer. We want to be with you for the entire fall migration, heading into winter, and then we'll see where we'll go from there.
Yeah, buddy. Sounds lovely.
All right, man. It's been a good one. We'll still be there. We'll still be sharing stuff on the socials, and we're not just going to go dark. Just say that. Thank you again for everybody out there that's listened to even one episode or all 12, whatever it may be, of the Birdjoy podcast.
Yes, sir.
It's been fun, brother.
Yes, sir. And any homies in and around Philly, we will have a few more events in the summer heading into the fall. So incolorbirding.org, or if you're just visiting Philly for some reason, just hit us up. Come through. We'll get some birding in.
Yeah, same here in Wisconsin. If you're visiting, we got some stuff going on. So check us out, BIPOCbirdingclub.org, and we already got stuff planned going into the fall.
You know what I'm gonna do? One of these days, I'm just gonna sneak into Wisconsin, just show up at your bird walk. I'm not nobody.
Be so excited.
I'm just gonna slide in there.
I'll be excited too, because I'm
not even gonna say nothing. I'm gonna put on some shades, try to be incognito. I'm gonna say nothing. I'm just gonna show up at Horicon Marsh like, what's good?
What's up? I am here. Oh man.
All right, brother.
All right, brother.
I'll see you. Peace.
All right, peace.